Let's speak to our U.S. Correspondent Sherwin Bryce-Pease. So, Sherwin, what is the sense like? The turnout in itself, is that expected to be higher than 2016? And is, especially the swing states, are things running smoothly there? I see Arizona, for instance, saying that they believe that the vote could go either way there.
Well, smoothly, certainly, and smoothly leading up to Election Day. Remember, this is not the first day of voting. It's probably the 10th and 11th day in many, many states. So that's why we have a number of 110 million people that have voted so far in this election. So a minority of votes in this entire process are going to be received today. I just wanted to touch on some of the comments made by some of those people that have voted outside Madison Square Gardens here in New York. You know, the one guy really stood out for me, Tsepi. So today it feels sad in this world. We need to make a change, really talking just about the feeling, the atmospheric nature of this election. There's just that, you know, that feeling, that tangible notion when you walk down the streets of Manhattan, you know, essentially one of the financial capitals of the world. And this is seen in other cities around this country, boarded up buildings, front windows covered in wood. You know, Macy's, an iconic store here in Manhattan, also, you know, to protect their exhibits in their windows because of concern around election violence, post-election violence here. Look, it might not happen, but that is a concern, and you are seeing it visualized on the streets of New York. And that lady at the end who talked about a lot of people not wanting a woman vice president because of Biden's age, and if something happens to him, God forbid, then Kamala Harris would step into the fray. Let's not forget that a lot of people in the United States in 2016, a majority of people in 2016 voted for the female Democratic nominee, and her name was Hillary Clinton. She won the popular vote, but lost the electoral college. And so you asked me about swing states. Are things going smoothly? Absolutely. But as I mentioned, smoothly because a majority of people have already cast their ballots. You saw a frenzied pace in the closing stages of both campaigns. The president making 10 stops, Tsepi, or 10 rallies across, you know, the last 2 days of his campaign, similar to the energy we saw in 2016 when a lot of people didn't think that Donald Trump had, you know, the energy certainly to see it through or the support to see it through. And so he's hoping to sort of recast those final moments of 2016 here in 2020. Unfortunately, the polls give Biden an even greater edge than they did Hillary Clinton in 2016. So as I've been saying in the lead up to this, and I might be wrong, look, he might get the surge late here. You know, it's going to be very important, the ground game that both campaigns deploy in terms of ensuring that their supporters turn up today if they haven't voted already. But Donald Trump has proven us wrong before, and I think the post-traumatic stress syndrome that a lot of people are suffering from 2016 might rear its head again later tonight, but that seems less likely in 2020.
Very interesting. Kamala Harris saying that the path to the White House, the path to who wins the White House runs very clearly through Michigan. Do we know anything about what the early outcome is? I see North Carolina, there are 4 precincts there that opened late, so voting is going to be extended. Are there any other states where this situation has occurred as well?
Not that I am aware of, right? We are seeing, the expectation is, in terms of, you know, that the path to the White House runs through Michigan. It runs through Michigan for both these campaigns, right? Joe Biden has focused on the Midwest, and so has Donald Trump. The Pennsylvanias, which is the Rust Belt, but then more the Michigans, the Wisconsins, the Iowas, the Ohios, the Minnesotas. Those are going to be a big focus here. And that all depends, Tsepi, on what happens in Florida. Florida is one of the early states that open early, 7 a.m. this morning, close at 7 p.m. New York, for example, closes 2 hours later. So we are expecting, given the volumes of mail-in ballots that we've seen in the swing state of Florida, and the election rules in that state that allow those ballots to be counted before Election Day. See, that's different. There are 50 states with 50 different rules. Pennsylvania, for example, or Wisconsin, for example, are 2 of those Midwestern states that could only start tabulating ballots once the polls open today at 7 a.m. Florida has had a head start, and other states have also had a head start. So the expectation is that with the ballots that come in today in Florida, that they're ahead of the game, yeah. And so we could see something from Florida at around 10 p.m. local time, 10:30 p.m., which is around 5 a.m. South African time. So before we go to Morning Live, we might have an indication of how Florida goes. And remember, if Florida goes blue, that almost cuts off any path that Donald Trump has to the White House. So Kamala Harris is absolutely right that, Michigan A is one, but Florida too is another one. North Carolina is also on the eastern seaboard. Joe Biden has had a consistent lead in that swing state. In fact, the Senate race there is also slightly favoring the Democratic candidate that's running against an incumbent. So those early states can really define the trajectory in terms of the results all night. But why don't we listen to the nominees? You mentioned Kamala Harris. Let's listen to what President Trump had to say earlier. He visited his campaign headquarters in Arlington, Virginia. Joe Biden was in his hometown of Scranton, where he was born. He visited his childhood home and spoke to some supporters outside there. Let's just listen to get a sense of how they're feeling, now that campaigns have been suspended.
We just got back. We had some incredible rallies and incredible times, and I hear we're doing very well in Florida. We're doing very well in Arizona. We're doing incredibly well in Texas. I'm hearing we're doing well all over. I hear the lines are amazing. The lines have been amazing. And I think we're going to have a great night. We're going to have a great night. And we're going to have, much more importantly, we're going to have a great 4 years. I feel very good. After doing that many rallies, the voice gets a little bit choppy, I think. God did not design it for that much, but we did a lot of them. We did actually 6 the last day, because one finished at 2 in the morning. So I put it on, so we did 5 plus sort of 1, but we did a lot, and I feel great.
Feels good, but you got to run through the tape, man. You got to go all the way through the tape. So, I was thinking that, the younger kids may not know, there's a tradition for the last, 80 years. The first place in the nation to vote at midnight is a place in New Hampshire called Dixville Notch. And they always look at it and see who wins Dixville. We're the first person, I'm told, to win it unanimously. All 5 votes. So based on Trump's notion, I'm going to declare victory right now. You know what I mean? They voted, so it's over.
So Joe Biden mocking the president there. Of course, there's a report from the news website Axios. It's a piece that reported that, quoting 3 sources, that Donald Trump would possibly declare victory before all the numbers are in, particularly if he was leading in some of the early states. And of course, Joe Biden now making fun of the fact that he would have won those 5 votes, all 5 votes in a very small region of the United States, and that he was going to declare victory. And then from the president, of course, it would not be President Donald Trump if he were to come out and talk at his campaign headquarters a day before, just hours before results start coming in, and saying we're going to lose. The president is very confident. That is his mojo, his strategy. Donald Trump is not going to give the game away, as it were, so believes that he will do well in Arizona, in Texas, and in Florida, 3 key states in his path to 270 votes. The only problem is the data is not in his favor. It's not favoring the Trump campaign. Joe Biden has been in touch in a traditional Republican stronghold of Arizona, a traditional Republican stronghold of Texas, and Florida, that voted for the president in 2016. So the president very much playing defensive in states that he would have thought were bankable heading into this election. Remember, you have blue states that are traditionally going to vote Democrat and red states that traditionally vote Republican. And the president has had to be on defensive in places like Georgia, Florida, Arizona, and Texas. And that tells you about why we saw such a frenetic pace from the Trump campaign, covering so much geography in the last 2 days of the campaigning. There he talks about, 6 campaigns in the last 24 hours of the campaigning, stretching until 2 a.m. earlier this morning. So a real sense of urgency on the Trump campaign. Where was Biden and Harris yesterday? In Pennsylvania only. In Pennsylvania, and that speaks to some of the confidence that they might be feeling heading into these final hours, Tsepiso.
Right, just very quickly to look at the polls, and I know depending on the poll itself that the percentage varies. Some saying that Joe Biden is almost ahead by almost 9%, some saying that it's almost about 7%. Donald Trump predicting that he is going to win by a far wider margin, in fact almost double the number of votes that he had. What is the most should we say reliable litmus test of just how far ahead Joe Biden is of Donald Trump?
People erroneously criticized the polling in 2016. The national polling in 2016 had Hillary up by about 3 points in the national race, and she won by about 3 million votes. So that kind of did track on election day. The anomaly was in those Midwestern states where Donald Trump won around 70, in all three of those states by about 70,000 votes. So 70,000 votes determined the outcome of the electoral college victory in 2016. So as much as we, give the polls that came out and showed Hillary winning all those Midwestern states, including Wisconsin, Michigan, and Pennsylvania, there was a late surge from Donald Trump in those states. So whatever mistakes we have factored those, we imagine they factored those in to their polling at this point. The difference here is that in places like Pennsylvania, for example, Joe Biden has had an average of a 5 to 7 point cushion. In places like Wisconsin, we are seeing Joe Biden up in one poll by 15 points. In Michigan, an average of around 7. So those are very large margins for Donald Trump to close on election day, right? You're going to have to see some extraordinary turnout that these polls have just absolutely missed were he to prevail in those states. So that's a very difficult task already. And given the large turnout in early voting and mail-in and absentee voting in the United States to date, large voting tends to favor Democrats in a presidential election. Okay. And we're talking now about 150 million, 160 million possible at the high end in terms of turnout. And that it would be a record broken set in 1908. So 112 years ago, we saw this level of turnout, 138 million when Hillary Clinton lost in 2016, and about 131 million when Barack Obama surged to victory in 2008. So it's difficult. It's a difficult path for Trump.
Thanks, Sherwin Bryce-Pease, our correspondent out in New York. And of course, we will be talking in detail about some of those significant 6 to 8 states, especially the swing states, and we'll delve a little deeper into the electoral college vote, take it apart for you so that you can understand and whether or not there was undercounting in the last election for Donald Trump. Some interesting fact: Donald Trump is the 45th president. He is only the 44th person, the 44th male to actually hold the job. You'll recall that President Grover Cleveland served 2 non-consecutive terms. He won the elections in 1884, lost in 1888, and won again in 1892. So he basically is considered both the 22nd and 24th president.